I thought to ask Zach to join me today is because I saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and it's my favorite movie of the year. And Zach commented on my post, so I knew I'd have at least one other person that saw it. So I'm like, Zach, you got to join me. This movie is phenomenal. Like, oh my God, the acting, the writing, the story, the cinematography. It's the first Planet of the Apes movie since the originals, but of the four new ones that I've actually liked the human character, because I did not like James Franco like at all in the original. And
it's okay to not like James Franco.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, rest in peace. Like, who knows what's going on with him? But he doesn't exist. I don't care.
One of the things that really, I think one of the things that I connected with the story, and it's not a spoiler because it happens at the beginning. The movie starts with Caesar's funeral, who was the lead in the last story, and then it says many decades later. That's when this story takes place. And there is a character in this movie that is twisting everything Caesar stood for to make it fit his own needs, playing on the Christianity of the world today, where it's like, Caesar meant all this stuff, but you find out, no, Caesar was about peace and love and getting apes getting along with humans and everything. And this guy is like twisted it and twisted it and twisted it to become, this powerful ape. And I really connected with the story. I loved the two leads. And I asked Zach if there's this weird thing to say, because one is an ape and one is a human, but I like the chemistry between the two characters. It was so good. Good. I kept looking over at Tony because it's kind of how I gauge movies.
He only looks like an ape. Like it was a person doing the acting.
That's another thing, man. The way these guys act with their eyes is so. I mean, I guess Andy Serkis consulted with a lot of them on this movie, and you could really tell. But Zach, what were your thoughts of Kingdom?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. Like, before this movie, I've watched all the old ape movies and they're fine, like they're good. There's really cool lore in them. And, like it's one of the first depictions of multiverse that I can remember was, I think in the third ape movie, which is like 1972. We're like, oh, it's a multiverse. If you go into space, who knows what's going on? But before seeing this, I rewatched the last trilogy, and I just remembered that trilogy to me is like the second best trilogy that I've seen, at least in modern times. And I even put a post out there that the last trilogy to me is better than the original Star Wars trilogy. I think and I'll fight. I'll fight it with anybody.
James Franco.
Okay, listen, Ewoks. But no, I mean not James Franco. He's an absolute turd.
He dies at the end of the first one, so that's a positive too.
I guess that's true.
He dies off screen in between the two, which makes it even better for that guy. But watching Caesar's his version of the hero's journey, I thought was beautiful. Watching Andy Serkis just inhabit this creature, but also give it humanity, which I think was the perfect way of doing this, because that's what this is. It's apes that are learning humanity. It's consciousness and understanding that the world is bigger than just the forest that they live in or the cage they live in. Watching this, immediately I was caught like with how beautiful the scope was. Like whenever you see a picture, it is so vast, and that opening thing, and it's just a very beginning of where to looking for eggs, whatever. It's gorgeous landscaping. And Noah was such I don't remember the person's name who played Noah, but I had to look them up as soon as I got out of the movie, because I was like, I've not seen better, teary, watery eye work since Andy Serkis did it in War. And I thought everything about this movie. Now, it is not the most memorable of movies. It is a beautiful movie, though. I think that I don't think that the journey that Noah takes is as impactful as Caesar's journey, but the fact that they took everything that Caesar did and then warped it for their own purpose, like the orangutans, they really wanted the peaceful, beautiful version of Caesar that was, apes together are strong. But then you have Proximus, who remembers that Caesar also is a warmonger. He fought for the things that he believed in. He fought for his fans, and he fought. So to see this movie take something that we know as fact, right? We saw Caesar's rise. We saw the war. And then generations later, how they're like, Caesar's like this Christ figure. And I'm like, wow, what a really interesting thing to do with that movie. Like, what would happen if apes, that had sentience could remember the first ape, like that seems so cool. And that was the most interesting thing to me. When you watch the second war movie, I think, or the second of the Rise trilogy, I think that the humans are good. They're good. And Gary Oldman's character was great when he turns that tablet on and he sees his family. Like, I broke too. And then in the third one, I think Woody Harrelson was phenomenal. And that was a lesson that Caesar had to learn, was that, guess what, dude? You cannot live together. I'm sorry. Humans are terrible. And I can't remember a movie that I watched that I had to really consider my place on this planet. Most movies you hear, like, hey, humans get knocked down, they get back up. Everybody's a fight, everything's a football game. When you get knocked down, you knock the dirt off and you get back up, because that's what humans do. But what if we're not supposed to? Like, what if we're not the right thing to take over? And I thought that was some really cool things that this movie really stuck with me. And I absolutely loved everything. The pacing was great. I forgot it was a 2.5-hour movie. I was just
going to ask you. I heard it was long.
I didn't feel it. Could not, not to lie, I could not feel the length of that. I left there going like, oh man, that was amazing. And me and my wife saw it, and we always chat about how she feels and her point of view. And yeah, between Noah, Raka might be one of my favorite things on screen that I've seen this year. Raka was so brilliantly funny and so impactful when it comes to what Noah needed to do, not what he wanted to do, what he needed to do. And I cannot rave about this movie enough. I absolutely
Noah was played by Owen Teague.
Yeah, he's like knockoff Elvis Butler, right?
yeah. He's I'm looking through his IMDb. He's got a handful of films that I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, he looks like Austin Butler, the guy from Dune and Elvis. Yeah, he looks just like that guy. His eyes are perfect. Like that. Noah had to do an amazing feat, and to I don't want to give any of the movie away, but Jason, like what he has to suffer in the beginning, the reasons he suffers it, the fact that he knows that rules, they're law. That's it. If there's a rule, it's a law. Go by it. But then he learns that maybe not all rules are law. Maybe he has to break the rules. Maybe he's got to go against the person making the laws. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, there's the ending of this movie could have gone the more stereotypical route, and in my opinion, it did not.
Yep.
And I really like that as well. This movie wasn't about a quest for power. This movie was just about bringing family back together, and it really stuck the landing on that theme. And I cannot stress enough. I was shocked at how much I loved it. I was shocked how much Tony loved this. I thought he'd be bored as we were watching it, because it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. Like, it's not a short movie, and you throw trailers on top of that. Like, it's long, but it doesn't feel long. Like, I thought we still had another hour to go. I was in for the ride. I can't wait to see the next one.
Yeah.
I am stoked. I'm really glad that Disney stuck the landing on this. And
I think there's supposed to be 9 of them or something.
Yeah, they just announced that, which is another thing that I'm kudos to, because I guess when they planned Rise, they planned 9 movies, but the 9-movie thing didn't come out until they hit 4. DC, pay attention to that. Their plan didn't come out until they hit 4. Yes. Same thing Marvel did, but I'm in for the ride, because like Zach, I like the original Planet of the Apes movies. I'm not going to argue that it's the greatest cinema of all time. It's definitely a sci-fi niche. Maybe the first one, it's got that twist at the end. If you don't know it, it's a fun little twist. But yeah, I've been shocked with this franchise on how much I enjoy it. It's just fun to see apes on horses.
And it's really interesting how they can make this movie. And if you are a fan of the Apes, you don't have to be, but if you are a fan of the Apes series, you're like, wait a minute, is this right before the very first? Like, what's happening here? I thought it was perfect. And if you stayed till the end of the credits, did you see the end? Did you?
There's a post-credit scene.
There's post-credit stuff. There's post-credit stuff.
Kind of expected at this point.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and I will say that one of my favorite characters of the movie was still there at the end, and I was very excited about that. But no, I dig the movie, and I'm glad that movies have characters that are making choices, that are dealing with consequences. Like Noah makes mistakes, and he has to suffer for that. And that's something that, like, for the last couple of years, nobody makes errors that they have to deal with consequences. They just keep going, and it's like, oh, and then this happens, and then this happens, and this happens, and there is no, well, that wasn't right, and now, like, we're seeing a lot of movies recently where these characters are making choices and dealing with the consequences, and I absolutely love that. I think that's great. Like, why content?
It's been, I really dug the return of sci-fi, like with Civil War, Dune, and this, for example, all parallel to things happening in the world, which is what sci-fi started out of. Guys, I recommend this movie. If you guys are out there, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It's great. It's fantastic. It's close to a 5 out of 5. Yeah. Let me see it a couple more times, and I might go there. But like I said, I really, really, really liked it.
Yeah, but I understand the ending a lot, but I just felt that as far as if I had to nitpick, I think the ending was a little bit rushed. It obviously wasn't what I expected, which I'm totally fine with. I just feel that, like, the first part is amazing. The middle chunk is phenomenal. The ending kind of, like, whipped along pretty quickly, and maybe that's why I didn't feel the 2:45.
Let's say 2 hours and 45 minutes later, he's like, the ending was too quick. I'm like, yeah, the movie's gonna be 3 hours and 15 minutes.
It has been a long time since I watched a movie and did not look at my watch and be like, God, there's still an hour.
That's my indication of how long it is how many times I look at my watch and how much I like it.
This movie did not look at my clock once. I was in it. And I was in it, and then and the actor that plays Proxima, I think he was the Blob in X-Men, if I'm correct. That guy was.
Oh yeah, Kevin Durant or something, right?
That's all I've ever seen him in. He's just Blob in X-Men.
He was Abigail too. This guy's having a hell of a year. I didn't realize that was him. Fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a wonderful day. Like that, beautiful, beautiful acting. And I like a bad guy that you can kind of understand where they're coming from. It's like a Thanos style. We're like, you're not wrong. You got to be aimed correctly.
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like all of Jason's YouTube comments. You're not wrong. You're wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. That's cool. I've never been super into the Apes movies. I guess I got to go check this one out if this is the pinnacle of ape movies.
And I was doing a lot of, like, contemplation on why the ape movies are not bigger or more respected or not a bigger thing in our pantheon. And I genuinely think it's because it's one of the few movies that humans aren't supposed to win this thing. Like humans
and Mark Wahlberg.
And Mark Wahlberg and James Franco. Rest in peace, James Franco. God, I hope you're dead.
Dude, Zach, you just became Max's favorite guest of all time. Max was screaming about the Franco hate.
You just the tear just went.
Yeah, Franco gave us a reason to hate him, and then you just came on here and said that. You just
after
won
my
Max's
own heart.
Seriously,
you might get a Valentine's Day gift from Max next year.
Oh, he's getting a Mother's Day gift for sure.
Rest in peace. I hate that man. But yeah, whatever.
Really?
There's some 100%. Stuff. Yeah, there's some stuff for 100%, sure.
No,
we find out that James Franco used to bully Zach in elementary school or something.
And I'm getting back at him right now. You're dead to me. Yeah, I think it's an interesting movie to watch where we're not supposed to be the ones that we're rooting for. And I think that people have a hard time with that enough that it's like, I can't make that my favorite movie because of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, which is totally fine. I love those movies. They're amazing. The arc that Caesar takes in the Rise trilogy, I think, is a better arc than the majority. Like, it's a better Luke Skywalker arc. It's a better hero's journey arc than the majority of things, except for Frodo. Yeah, I love these movies. I've seen the new one 3 times now. Once legally, but yeah, I really enjoy it. I thought it was great.
I want to see it.
I'm really glad you wrote that too, because no one talks about ape movies, and I saw your post. I'm like, hell yeah, that's exactly right.
We did our top 5 franchises, and I chose Planet of the Apes, the Caesar trilogy, as my 3rd or 2nd. I can't remember. But so great movie, guys.